Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into this really powerful metaphor that comes from the struggle of being a writer. But honestly, it speaks to anyone who's ever tried to create something from nothing. It gets at a pretty harsh truth, but one that's also, as you'll see, incredibly empowering. So let's start with a feeling that, if you've ever tried to make anything, you're going to know this one deep in your bones. And look, this isn't just some casual complaint, right? This insight comes from someone with 15 years and 8 screenplays under their belt. It's that recurring realization that the act of creation, well, it's just fundamentally, unavoidably hard. Okay, so to really get our heads around this difficulty, the author gives us this incredible image. I want you to picture this. You are standing completely, totally alone, right in the middle of a massive empty desert. And it's not just about being lonely, This desert, this is the creative space itself. And that feeling you get, that gut punch moment when you realize there is absolutely nowhere to lean, no one to help, you're on your own. The source even describes it as this hellish heat and humidity closing in. It's that kind of profound isolation that takes a tough challenge and just ramps it up until it feels, almost impossible. So you've got this bleak, desolate landscape. The question is, why would anyone do this? What on earth would make a writer, or really any creator, take that first step into the desert on purpose? Why even start? Well, the answer is the Oasis. That shimmering vision you see just over the horizon. But we're not just talking about a place with palm trees and water. No, this oasis is a symbol. It's that finished masterpiece, that perfect story you're chasing. The author calls it the most brilliant light in that life. A goal so bright, so compelling, that it makes you think, this brutal journey, it might just be worth it.
And that's it. Right there, that vision of the oasis, that's what gives you the strength to actually start walking down that long, dark road.
But let's be clear, this is no walk in the park. The author describes it as a dark, bumpy road. This is the kind of path where your feet go numb, where they actually start to bleed. And maybe the worst part, there's no exit in sight. But still, you have to keep going. You push forward, one heavy step at a time, because you're hooked on the promise of what's just over that next hill. Okay, but here's where things take a turn. We're coming to the most critical part of this whole metaphor, and maybe the most painful part too. You've put up with the desert, you've walked this awful path, all for that one destination. And then the author just drops this bombshell, a really cold, hard truth. That perfect, shimmering oasis, the one you've been pouring your blood, sweat, and tears into reaching, the most brilliant light? It's not real. It doesn't exist. It never did. And this really lays out the central conflict, doesn't it? On the one hand, you have this powerful, beautiful belief that kept you going, the shining oasis. And on the other, you have the cold, hard reality. It was a mirage all along. So what now? What happens when that hope you've been clinging to just smashes into the truth? This forces a pretty massive question, right? If the destination was never real, if that oasis is just an illusion, then why keep going? Seriously, why wouldn't you just sit down in the sand and give up? The answer? Well, it's actually incredibly profound. The reason the writer can't stop is because the walking is the whole point. The journey itself, the struggle, the simple act of putting one foot in front of the other, that's not just how you get to the destination. It is the destination. It's who you are. Your identity isn't the oasis. It's the path. So let's just boil this all down. It really comes down to 3 key truths about the creative life. Number 1, the work is a lonely desert. It just is. Number 2, that perfect end goal you're chasing, it might just be a mirage. And number 3, the most important one of all, the path you're walking, that's you. The two are one and the same. And that's what's so brilliant about this. The metaphor stops being just about writers, and suddenly it becomes a mirror for every single one of us. It forces you to ask yourself a really powerful, really personal question. So think about it. What path are you walking right now? What's your desert? Is it a project, a job, some personal goal? And the really big question is, are you walking that path for a destination that might not even be real? Or are you walking it for the person you are becoming along the way?